Hello, I'm going to show you how I use my new Cutco fillet knife to fillet several different fish. The first one here is a 15-inch, 2-pound bullhead that I caught while trying for perch. I decided to keep it. It's been a long time since I ate it. The cool thing I noted about this Cutco fillet knife is how easily it cut through the skin. It was crazy. First time I ever used it, I thought something was wrong with the fish because it was so sharp it cut right through it. I wasn't used to that. Now, the truth is, I don't always use the most sharp fillet knife to begin with, so this Cutco was quite different. It's an expensive knife. I think I paid $125 for it or something like that. But I do a lot of fish cleaning, and I thought it would be nice to have something. Here I'm pulling the skin off the bullhead. I'm using kind of a crummy pliers. It doesn't have a really good sharp edge to grab things with, but it works, and you can see I'm starting to, it's just like taking the shirt off of a fish, if it wore a shirt, that is. And so I'm pulling it off here, and that's how I usually, if I fillet a catfish, this is how I do it, channel cat or something like that. So this bullhead I'm gonna try. Honestly, it's been so long since I've eaten them that I'm not even sure. So now there's a little bone that I got to work around at where the pointy fin is. Once I work under that bone, then I can work along the rib cage, and I can. This knife, it's like cutting. It was almost. It was definitely a nice experience. Let me just put it that way. And I was able to easily remove the flesh from the bone really well. Now, when I have just a few fish to clean and I don't have to go through, 100 fish or whatever, not that I ever do, I always try to cut along the rib cage so that I don't cut those bones and then remove them later. When I'm done with this kind of a fillet, the entire carcass will be intact. So you can see I got a piece of meat off there, and put it in the salt water to rinse it. And I got to do the same thing. And again, that bone there, that I see how I have to cut underneath it to get at it. It's pretty sturdy, so you got to cut. Once you cut underneath it, then it's pretty easy. And then it's just a matter of cutting down the back, and again, being careful to cut along that bone line, and trying to maintain it so that I can remove as much flesh as possible without any waste. And then there's the matter of cutting the rib cage again and just working my way around there. I didn't make a clean cut, I just realized that. Okay, anyway, I'm cutting away there. You can see how that goes. And before long, I will cut it away from the fish, and there I have two fillets, and you can see I got most of the meat off pretty good there. There's not much there, and so that, if I left behind any meat, that's not the fault of the knife so much as the knife user, I think. I always save the carcasses for crabs, and this is a squaw fish that I caught, also known as a pike minnow. And there is some encouragement to remove them from the waterways. They are native, though, to Idaho, so I use them for bait for my crawfish traps. So I'm going to take this knife and just cut right down the middle of it, bone and all, and just show you how easy that was. It was amazing how it was trivial to cut through the bone and everything. I guarantee you, when I do that in the past with other knives, it's a little more work. So it's nice having a sharp knife. That's what I learned. Now I'm going to show you a really cool thing here. You can adjust the blade. So I'm going to take it from right around 8 inches that I have it set now. You can pull it out actually for cleaning and stuff. And now I'm going to push it all the way down so it's about 6 inches. And I did this because I'm going to fillet this perch. And even though that blade is, I was worried a little bit that it might be a little loose feeling, but it is stuck in there nice and rigid, and I don't really feel it. You have to cut in underneath the scales. The scales themselves are still hard to cut through, even with a really sharp knife. And so you always have to work underneath the scales to make that cut. And so that's kind of what I'm trying to describe there. By the way, my audio got lost. That's why I'm doing the voiceover. And then I just, in this case, I don't skin it first. I go ahead and remove, cut along the backbone and the rib cage again. And again, I'm not going to cut through the rib bone. Sometimes I do that when I need to clean a lot of fish, but I found that when I just have a handful, I prefer this way because I tend to do a better job of getting rid of all the bones. Sometimes when you leave them to cut out of the rib cage area on the fillet after the fact, you can be a little bit sloppy and miss. This way, I get the bones all out, and you can see I also don't cut the fillet completely off. I always leave a little bit hanging because it gives me a good place to grab from, so then I can go ahead and cut between the meat and, see how quick that went? Between the meat and the skin, and I removed it. And that way I find that when I cut, you can see it, yeah, when I cut when I don't leave the little edge, that piece on the end, it's a little harder for me to go ahead and skin, so I always leave it attached to the carcass. And again, when I'm done with this carcass, it's going to be turned into crawfish. I use all my fish guts, and for those of you who may actually like to catch crawfish in your crawfish traps, it's amazing, but I save all the guts from all the fish that I choose to keep. Sometimes I'll shoot a carp or something like that and use its carcass for bait, but I find I haven't even done that this year. I've been just using the leftovers of my successful fishing trips when I've decided to keep fish, which is usually the case with perch because that is by far my favorite fish. So you can see I'm having no trouble doing this, and I'm taking my time. I could go a lot faster, but I'm taking my time for the purposes of filming this. I wanted to be able to explain what was going on. And in fact, the whole time I was, but somehow I have to use a voiceover now because somehow the audio didn't work. Can't explain why, but hey, that's life sometimes. So there we go, and let's take a look at what's left behind. Did I do a good job? Sure looks like it. Not much meat left. The knife does a pretty good job, and I did a pretty good job too. Look at that. Look at that. You can see right through it. Anyway, that's really it.